Well, hello everyone. I hope you had a great weekend with family and friends watching the game. I know for me it was a slam-packed weekend. I got to watch Carolina beat Duke on Saturday. That was pretty fun. Sunday, of course, being a Carolina fan, I was pulling for Drake May. Unfortunately, he didn't win, but that's okay. But I hope you did have a great weekend. I hope this weekend you're able to share the gospel with somebody, whether it be at the Super Bowl party or just out and about. I pray you were able to do so. I feel like every single year, the Super Bowl, there's just more controversy every single year. And this year, of course, there were two different halftime shows that you could watch. There was the Turning Point USA halftime show, which was called the All-American. And I watched most of that one, and it was pretty good. Obviously, I'm not the biggest country music fan, but Christ was mentioned, the cross was mentioned, which, if that takes place at a halftime show for a Super Bowl, I would count that as a pretty big success. So I did appreciate that, and I believe all Christians should appreciate that and love that. And then, of course, there was the halftime show at the Super Bowl, which was done by Bad Bunny, which was quite interesting to say the least. From a Christian's perspective, him doing the Super Bowl is not a surprise. Culture gets darker and darker every single year, and it's going to continue to do so until the second coming of Christ. But if you're a Christian and you enjoyed that halftime show, you supported that halftime show, I encourage you to examine your heart and see where you truly are in your relationship with Christ. We, of course, watched a little bit of it just because I wanted to see, what it actually was. Because I had no clue who this guy was. No clue. Didn't know any of his songs. And of course, he was, singing in Spanish, so I didn't understand what he was saying. So I don't know for words what words were being sung. But there were a lot of very inappropriate moments within the halftime show. With the dancers, which is nothing new. That's always takes place. And also there was two guys who did a very inappropriate dance, to say the least. And it's just a shame. Absolute shame to see that. And it's a shame to see people who call themselves Christians say, oh, this is a fantastic halftime show, or they support this halftime show, or support the person singing. It's very upsetting. And so my encouragement to Christians, don't get caught up in this culture. You can enjoy sports, you can enjoy music, you can enjoy those things, but when there are things that openly mock God, when they openly mock Christianity, you should not be supporting that. You should not be enjoying that. Because that is ultimately what we saw on Sunday with Bad Bunny up there singing, and the dances and all those sorts of things is an abomination to the Lord at the end of the day. And we live in a culture that hates God, hates Christianity. And so don't be surprised when this stuff happens, but also don't support it. Don't love it. I want to read Ephesians chapter 6. Of course, starting in verse 10, and this whole section talks about the armor of God. But I wanted to point out in verse 12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness age, the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil days, and having done all, to stand firm. We must understand as Christians that we are going against the devil. We're going against Satan. We are going against these evil powers, and we're not merely fighting against flesh and blood. Our country right now is so divided. Obviously, we saw that on Sunday. You had one half that was like, oh, All-American, the All-American halftime show. We're going to watch that. We're going to support that. I think there's 6 million streams or whatever on YouTube, which is really impressive. But you had those people, and then you have the other people that are like, oh, let's listen to Bad Bunny. Let's do oh, this is awesome. This is so cool. Well, it's not just about that. As Christians, we are fighting against demonic things. We're fighting against the devil. And so remember that and stand firm. And you're not going to be able to stand firm if you're not living in the Word of God and you're not living in prayer. And so I encourage the Christians to stand firm in the gospel, stand firm in the Word of God, and actually pray and live life like a Christian. Don't be caught up in this culture, because this culture is going to drag you down. It's going to. And so stand firm, trust God, and if you're not a Christian, put your faith and trust in Him before it's too late.